Good evening, all. Welcome to TCS NQT 2026 coding training, day 7. Hope you are all doing well, preparing well for the exam, upcoming exam, TCS NQT. Is my audio clear? Am I audible? If audio is clear, then we'll proceed with today's session. So let me share the screen. So today we will solve a problem related to strings, because in the easy to medium difficulty level, mostly the questions will be on arrays and strings. So we solved previous coding problems asked in TCS NQT exam. Previous questions we solved on arrays. Okay, so even string problem which was asked on 19th February, very recently conducted exam. Okay, so that also we solved. That is purely a string related problem. Okay, so today we'll try to solve one more string related problem, so that you'll get some hands on both arrays and strings. Right, so let us look at the problem. Given two strings str1 and str2, return true if str1 is a subsequence of str2, false otherwise. Okay, so that means you are given two strings, string 1 and string 2. So what we need to do, we need to return true if string 1 is a subsequence of a string 2. Otherwise we should return false. That means if it is not a subsequence. So the definition of subsequence is given here. Okay, so a subsequence is a new string formed from the given string by deleting few, can be none sometimes. Okay, so by deleting few characters without disturbing the relative positions of the remaining characters. So that new string formed is called a subsequence. Okay, by deleting some of the characters. Okay, so if string 1 is a subsequence of a string 2, okay, so then what we should return? We should return a true value. Otherwise, if it is not a subsequence, then we should return a false value. Give an example here. Okay, so let us look at the example here. ACE is a subsequence of ABCDE, while BDC is not a subsequence. Okay, so here the string ACE is called a subsequence of the string ABCDE, while BDC is not a subsequent. That is what he has given in the example. Okay, so let us look at the input format. The first line contains the string str1. The second line contains the string str2. Okay, so two strings are provided in two lines. Then the output format should be true if str1 is a subsequence of a str2, false otherwise. Okay, so that means either you should print true or false. True if string 1 is a subsequence of string 2. If it is not a subsequence, then you should print a false. Example given here. Okay, so let us look at the example. So input ABD AHBK DX. Then the output is true here. Output given is true. Okay, so first let us take this example. Okay, and we'll see how AC is a subsequence. Okay, so this is the given string A B C D E. Okay, so it is string 2 here. This is string 2 given. Then string 1 is ACE. ACE. Okay, now by deleting some of the characters from the second string, if you can obtain this string 1, then you can say string 1 is a subsequence this. Okay, so now see character A, first characters both are matching here. Okay, then what we'll do, we start finding out the characters present in a string 1, whether these characters in this order. Now see here, without disturbing the relative positions. Okay, so remaining characters you should get this string. Okay, so how we'll obtain this? Now we'll start comparing the characters present in string 1 and string 2. Okay, so string 1, first we'll start with A is present in this. Yes, A is present in this. Then we'll go to the next string of a next character of a string 1. Okay, so then we'll compare with the next character in string 2. Okay, B equal to C. No. Okay, so then what we do, we'll move to the next character in string 2. Okay, so then C equal to C. Yes. Okay, so then we'll move to the next character in a E, and also we'll move to the next character. Okay, so in string 2 we'll move each character, whether if it is matching or not matching, we'll move to the next character in string 2. Okay, but in string 1 we'll move only if we find a matching character, then only we'll move to the next character in string 1. This is how you should proceed. Okay, so D matching to E, D is equal to E. No. Okay, then we'll move to the next character. Then E equal to E. Yes. Okay, now end of the string 1 reached here. Okay, so once you reach end of the string, okay, so don't worry even if you don't reach a string 2, end of the string 2. Okay, but this string 1 characters are identified in a string 2. That means string 1 is a subsequence of a string 2. Okay, so let us look at another example. Okay, so your string 2 is A B C D E and string 1 is BDC. BDC. Okay, so what we do, we'll start comparing the first character of string 1 and first character of string 2. A equal to B. No. Okay, so then what we do, we'll move next character in the string 2. B equal to B. Yes. Okay, so then we'll move to the next character in string 1 and also in string 2. Okay, then we'll compare D equal to C. No. Then we'll move to next character of a string 2. D equal to D. Yes. Then we'll move to next character of string 1 and also next character of a string 2. Okay, so then E equal to C. No. Okay, so then end of string 2 reached here. End of string 2 is reached here. Okay, and still we are not reached end of the string 1. Okay, so this indicates that it is not a subsequence. This is not a subsequence as per the definition. Even though C is present in this string 2, okay, but it is not in this order. Okay, C after D is present, but here D after C is encountered here. Okay, so that's when the order, relative order, you are missing in a string 1. Okay, so that's why we say that this BDC is not a subsequence of a string 2. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to traverse the string 1 and string 2. Okay, so one by character and go on compare. Okay, so the second string is the longest string. Okay, so this entire string we traverse once. Okay, so if length of the string is n, then the complexity of this one is order of n, which is good. Then you are not using any extra array here. We are not storing the result in any extra array here. Okay, so then its space complexity is order of 1. Okay, so that means your solution is a good solution. It will be accepted. Got it? So now even if you work out this, now once you got this logic, now you work out the logic on this. Okay, whether it works for this logic or not. Okay, so for 1 or 2 minutes just you check out, then you can proceed with the program. A H B K D X. Okay, so then string 1 is A B D. Okay, so how to start? We'll start with the first character of a string 1 and first character of a string 2. Then we'll compare whether both are equal. Yes. Okay, so then we'll move to the next character of string 1 and also string 2. Then we'll compare. H is equal to B? No. Okay, so when if it is not equal, just we'll move to the next character in string 2. We don't disturb string 1. Okay, so then we'll move to the next character of string 2. Now you compare B equal to B. Yes, then move to the next character of string 1 and move to the next character of string 2. Compare K equal to D. No, then move to the next character of string 2. D equal to D. Yes. Okay, so then string of end of the string 1. Okay, so you have reached end of the string 1. That indicates that all these characters successfully identified in a string 2. Okay, so then you can declare it as a subsequence. Okay, so it is a subsequence and you can return a true. Once if you reach end of this string 1, okay, still we have not yet reached end of string 2. Okay, some more characters are there, but all these characters already identified. No need to verify remaining characters here. Okay, so then string 1 end is reached, no? So then it is called a subsequence of a string 2. Got it? Okay, so we'll write both Python and Java code for this. Okay, so first let us write a Python code for this. Okay, so how we can write a Python code? That means the input is two strings. First line contains a string 1, second line contains a string 2. Okay, so these two strings you should read. So how you can read this is your main code. Assume string 1. Okay, so just you can read by using input function in Python. Okay, so input reads anything as a string. Okay, so that means the first group of characters will be read as a string and stored in a str1. Okay, then read the second string str2. Again you say input. Okay, so then you are returning either true or false. Directly you can print that here. Okay, so is subsequence, you call a function called as a is subsequence. Then pass these two strings as arguments, str1 and str2 as arguments. So then it checks whether string 1 is a subsequence of string 2. If yes, it returns true, true will be printed. Otherwise, if it returns false, false will be printed. Okay, so this is your main code in Python. Okay, so then here we'll define the function here. Okay, so here I define is subsequence. So in TCS examination, this input reading and output printing. Okay, so everything you need to write the code you should write. Okay, but for other companies examination, okay, in LeetCode kind of platforms, this input reading is already done for you. Okay, only thing is you need to just complete this function. Okay, so that's why you should learn how to read the input properly also. That's what I was mentioning in previous video. So E is subsequence, string 1, string 2. Okay, so what we need to do? We need to traverse string 1 character by character. Okay, so then string 2 up to end of the string. Yes or no? Okay, so that means those indices you should keep track of. Okay, so for that you require, that means I am drawing the memory diagram so that it becomes easy for you. So your string 1 is, what is your string 1? ABD. ABD. Assume this is your string 1. Okay, so this is 0, 1 and 2, and I am drawing string 2 here. So our string 2 is AHBKD. AHBKDX. Okay, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so this is str1 and this is str2. Got it? Okay, so here this each character index you should keep track. Okay, so you should traverse. Okay, for this what we do is we'll take a variable called as I, which keeps track of a index of a string 1, and we'll take another variable called as j, because whenever the characters are not matching we only increment this string 2. Okay, so that's why we should take a separate variable for index of a string 2. Okay, if you increment both without matching, then it becomes a problem. Okay, so that's why you take different variables to keep track of indices of these two strings. Okay, so initially both should start at 0 now. So that's why what you do is you declare two variables and initialize them to 0. Okay, so in Python you can do like this: I comma j is equal to 0 comma 0. You can write in Python. No need of writing two statements: I is equal to 0, j is equal to 0. That also okay. Okay, but this is more Pythonic way of writing. I will be 0 and j will be 0. Okay, so then what we need to do, we need to iterate through both strings. Okay, so now what we need to do, we need to traverse both strings. String 1 and string 2 we should traverse. Okay, so up to what part you should traverse? Either you reach end of one of these two strings. Okay, so in one example we have reached end of string 2 first. In another example we have reached end of string 1 first. Okay, so that's why any one of them will be reached first. Okay, so if any one of them reached, you should stop traversing other string. Okay, so that's why you can use a simple while loop, and just you can check here. Okay, so while I less than a length of a string 1. Okay, so there is a function called as length function which gives length of string 1, and j should be less than a length of a string 2. Okay, so if both of them not reached end, okay, you can proceed. Okay, if one of them reached end, then the condition becomes false. Here one of the condition becomes false, then you can come out. Okay, so that is what the condition should be written here for traversing the two strings. Okay, so what we need to do, if characters are matching here, then you should move both pointers, otherwise you should move only the second pointer. Okay, so it is just like two pointer approach. Okay, so I'm just writing here. Okay, so if uh, characters match, just see here, if characters match, okay, so move both pointers like this. Okay, so now that means I value, j value, I am keeping track here. Okay, so I am writing I value. Initially I is equal to 0, j is equal to 0. That means I pointing here, j pointing here. Now first character here, we will compare here. Okay, so how we can compare here? If how we can access a character in string 1? So you can say that str1 of I, if str1 of I is equals to str2 of I, sorry, j. For second string we are using the variable name as j. Okay, so if str1 is equals to str2 of a j. Okay, so that means these two characters are matching here. Okay, so these two characters are matching. When these two characters are matching, you should move I to the next index and also j to the next index. Even though match, if not matching, only thing is when they are matching, it is mandatory to move the I to the next position. Okay, so that's what, when this condition is true, then what we do is we'll increment I value. I plus is equals to 1, will say I goes to the next one. Okay, so that means I value now becomes 1 here. Okay, so if they are not matching, then you come out from the loop and just you increment j value. Okay, so j plus is equals to 1, you say. After if condition, you write j plus is equal to 1. Got it? Okay, so now the condition becomes true, I value will be incremented. After coming out from if, again j value is also incremented, so j value also becomes 1 here. Okay, so then goes up again, so it comes to the while condition here. Again it checks 1 less than length of string 1. What is length of string 1? 3. 1 less than 3, yes. And 1 less than 5, is it 5 or 6? Is it 6? Okay, so 1 less than 6, yes, both are true, then it becomes true. Then again checks string 1 of 1 is equal to string 2 of j. What is there in string 1 of 1? B is equal to h. No. Okay, so then this is not executed here, directly it comes here, so j value will be incremented. Okay, so j value becomes now 2 here, it comes here, and j value becomes 2 here. Okay, so j value becomes 2 here, it will be pointing to this next letter. Okay, so again goes up, so check the condition. 1 less than 3, yes, and j value is 2. 2 less than 6, yes. Checks again, string 1 of 1 is equal to string 2 of 2. String 1 of 1, b is equal to b, yes. Okay, so then I value will be incremented. Okay, so and also j value will be incremented. So since there is a matching character, both will be incremented, so I value becomes 2 here, j value becomes 3 here. Okay, so I now goes to the next character and j now points to the next character. So again checks the condition in the while loop. So this repeats as long as the condition becomes false in the loop here. Okay, so it checks again 1 less than, what is I value? 2, sorry, 2 less than 3, yes. 2 less than 3, yes, and j value is 3. 3 less than 6, yes. Then again it checks string 1 of 2 is equal to string 2 of 3. This d is equal to k, no. Okay, so then only j value will be incremented. Okay, so j value now becomes 4 here. Okay, so then again goes up, checks the condition. 2 less than 3, yes, and 4 less than 6, yes. Now checks string 1 of 2 is equal to string 2 of 4. That means d equal to d, yes. Okay, so in such case I value will be incremented here, j value will be incremented. Now let us look at what happens. Okay, so if I value is incremented, I value becomes 3. Okay, j value incremented, j value becomes 5 here. Okay, so again goes up to the loop. Now checks the condition. 3 less than 3, no, condition becomes false. Once the condition becomes false, then the loop terminates, comes out from the loop. Okay, so once you come out from the loop, when you come here, you do not know whether you have reached end of string 1 or end of string 2. Okay, whether the condition is false here or condition false here. If any one of them is false, you are coming out from the loop. Okay, so since we can see this here, we can understand that it is coming out from a first condition. Okay, but given a long string 1 and string 2, unknown strings, we do not know where from we are coming out from this loop. Okay, so that's why to check, now you need to decide after coming out from the loop. Now you need to decide, okay, whether this string 1 is a subsequence of string 2 or not. How you can decide? That means if you have reached end of the string 1, if you have reached end of the string 1, okay, so then that indicates that all these characters have a matching character in string 2, which is a subsequence. Now you can call it as a subsequence. Okay, so how do we know that we have reached the end of string 1? That is very important statement to be written in this program. Okay, so it is now time to decide that we have reached string 1. Okay, now you need to decide it is a subsequence. Okay, so how you can do that? We have reached the end of string 1. Okay, so after coming out from loop here, exactly here I am writing here. Okay, so now you check here, if okay, so see here, after coming out from the loop, what is I value? Your I value is 3 here. Okay, so which is equal to length of string 1, length of string 1. Okay, so that is what you need to check. If I value is equal to length of a string 1, if I value is equal to length of string 1, okay, so that means you have reached end of string 1. You processed all the characters of string 1 successfully. Okay, so then directly you say return true. True you return here. Okay, so else you return false. Okay, so else I am writing here. Okay, so this statement I am writing here, return false. That's it. This is your function, and this is your main code. Got it? So this is how we decide. Okay, so this point is very very important, how we decide that it is a subsequence. Okay, so many students fail in identifying this condition here. So that you should devise first. Okay, so when you are working on paper, okay, so you should devise a method. Okay, how should I decide this, whether it is a substring of this or not, subsequence of this or not? Okay, what is the condition to be tested? These things you should work out on paper. Once you get that logic, no, it becomes very easy to implement. Okay, so let us implement this, and here this kind of problem is available on LeetCode. Okay, so what we do is directly we write the program on LeetCode platform, and so that you can test your code against private test cases also. Okay, that's how you can improve your coding skills. If you write in some editor, no, online editor, or in your own IDE, okay, so you will have your own test cases, but hidden test cases are not available to us. Okay, so in LeetCode platform there are hidden test cases. Okay, so that's why it is better to test our code on the LeetCode platform. Okay, so let me open that LeetCode. Let me share LeetCode screen to you. So this is our LeetCode. Now we can see the problem here. Okay, so problem number 392. Okay, is subsequence. The heading of the problem is subsequence. So instead of writing code in some editors, better if you practice on LeetCode, CodeChef, HackerRank, then it would be better, because your code will be tested against private test cases. Okay, so the same question, given two strings s and t, return true if s is a subsequence of t, or false otherwise. Okay, so the same definition is given, example is also given here. Okay, so inputs given here, abc, ahbc, and axc, some Okay, so constraints given that length of the string is between 0 to 100. Okay, and second string length will be between 0 to 10 to the power of 4. Okay, and it is given only lowercase English alphabet. Okay, so input contains only lowercase input English letters only. No need to worry. So let us write the code here. So let me increase the screen size so that you can see this screen easily. See here. So reading of input is not available here. It is done for you. Okay, it is done for you. So only thing is we need to complete this function. See here, the return type is bool type here. Return type is bool type is subsequence. It is given. That means you should return either true or a false. That is enough. This is given for you. Okay, so this is C++ type. Let us take the Python compiler. Now you can see in Python 3. So it is given return type should be Boolean type. Okay, now let us finish this. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to define two variables I and j, initialize them to 0 0. Okay, so then you need to traverse the two strings now. So while I less than length of str1 and j less than length of str2. So now you compare. If str1 of I is equal to str2 of j. So just you increment I value here. I plus equals to 1. Okay, so otherwise just you increment. Okay, so if you write else here, the problem is either I is incremented or j is incremented. Okay, but sometimes we want both to be incremented. Okay, or only every time j must be incremented. That's why you should not write in a else condition here. Only simple if you should use here. If this is false, increment only j value. Okay, so many students use else condition here. Okay, so if you use else condition, then you end up with a wrong output. Okay, so test cases will be failed. Right, so this loop repeats and you will come out from the loop. Once you come out from the loop, what you need to do, you need to test whether you have reached the end of string 1 or not. Okay, so how do you test that? If I is equal to length of string 1, I value is equal to length of string 1. Okay, so then what you do, you return true here. Okay, so what is the output? Just look at the output. Okay, I'll show you, because if you return true here, what happens we'll see here. Otherwise, what else? Return false. Okay, now if I run the code, look at the results here. Now you can see name str1 is not defined. Okay, so where? Okay, so it is s and t given, no? Right, so we should change these names. Yeah, because it is already defined s and t. Okay, so that's why what we need to do is we call it as s, and this second string we call it as a t. Okay, so here also then it should be s. Right, so let us run the code once again. Now you can see here. Okay, so accepted yes, abc case test case 1 accepted. Okay, so output true, expected output is also true here. For test case 2, axc ahb, okay, so false, and expected output is also false. Got it? Okay. But still, there is some flaw here. Yes. See, we have returned this true, Boolean value true we have returned here. Okay. But okay, internally is printing it as a this small letter T. True is printing internal. Okay. So that code is not available, that main code after you return what is doing. Okay. So but sometimes what you need to do is you need to directly return this string true you need to return. Okay, so if we return such string, let us see what happens. This small true and capital T true is both different. Okay, that is a boolean value, this is a boolean value, and this is a string here. If we return the strings like this, okay, so let us run this, what happens we'll see. Yeah, it is showing now you can see the expected output. See here, true is a string we returned here. Okay, so but expected is a boolean value. Okay, so since in the function definition also it is given as a boolean type. Okay, so that's why you should return boolean only. Okay, so the first way which we returned, this is a boolean value. Okay, so this is a boolean value. So just to know the difference between returning a string true and returning the boolean value. Okay, so now if you run the code, you can just see accepted, accepted. Once accepted, now you can click on submit your code. See here. Okay, so 22 by 22 test cases passed. This is how you should get in your TCS examination. When you submit your code, it should pass all the test cases. You are done with the problem. Okay, right. Now what we do is we'll try to uh, write a code in Java for the same. Okay, so how to write the code in Java, that also we should understand. So let us go back. Some students are good at Java. Okay, so they need a Java solution for some programs. So here reading input should be done from the console. Okay, so that's why we should read the input by using scanner class. Okay, so yesterday we have seen, in last video we have seen. So what we do is we define a class. Okay, call it as a main. Then inside this I'm writing entire thing in main itself. Okay, so public static void main, then say string args. This is only to uh, make you aware of how to read inputs. Okay, so given two strings, how to read inputs in a Java. Okay, so that you should know. For this what we need to do is here you should import the util class. Okay, so java dot util dot star. Okay, so create object for the scanner class. So how you create object for the scanner class? Scanner sc is equals to new scanner, then pass system dot in as argument. Okay, so in Java, we have a string class, and directly you can read a string 1 and a string 2. Okay, so str1 is equal to, okay, so how you can read in Java by creating an object of this string class, okay, or str string 1 is object. You need to read from the console, no? Okay, so input means what you need to do, you no need of this, directly string is available on the console, no? So directly you read here, okay, so then you say sc dot next line, so it reads the entire string. First string it reads and stores in str1, okay, so then similarly you read the second string also. Okay, so how you can read the second string, string str2 is equal to sc dot next line. So in next line, L should be capital. That is name of the method. Okay. So now you have string 1 and string 2. Then remaining code is same. Okay. So remaining code is same. So main, I am just writing inside the main itself. Okay. So what you need to do? You need to take two variables I and j. Okay. So I is equal to 0. Then j is equal to 0 initially. Okay, so now you traverse the two strings. Okay, so how do you traverse the two strings in Java? Length of the string you need to find out. For that we have a method called as length method available. So why I less than str1 dot length, there is a function called as a length. Okay, and j less than str2 dot length. Okay, so this entire thing you must enclose in parenthesis in Java, otherwise you will get error. So here, can we use AND here? No, for AND we have logical AND operator we should use here. Okay, so logical AND we should use. Right, so inside the loop, what we need to do? We need to test the condition. If okay, so here how do we access each character? So don't use indexing method. Okay, so in Java for accessing characters at particular index positions. Okay, so we have a method called as a string1 dot char at. There is a method called as a char at. Okay, so better use these methods. Char at of I is equals to string2 dot char at of j. Okay, so if these two are equal, okay, so instead of writing a string 1 of because here string 1 string 2 are implemented as objects. Okay, so they are implemented as objects, no? Okay, so better you should use the methods present inside the object. Okay, so with the help of methods, if you access then the traversing becomes faster. Right, so if this is true, what you need to do, you need to increment the I value. So you can just say I plus plus. Otherwise, after coming out from if, what you need to do, you need to say j plus plus. Okay, so this is end of the loop here. While loop ends. Once you come out from the while loop, what you need to do, you need to test here. Okay, so what you need to test, if I value is equal to string1 dot length, if I value is equal to string1 dot length. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to print directly. You can print here. Okay, so system dot out dot because I am writing inside the main. Okay, so system dot out dot println. So you can print true here. Okay, so otherwise you can print false. Instead of writing this directly, you can print. No, so instead of printing true or false here, because there is no uh, else, you should print system dot out dot println. Okay, out dot println false you should print. Okay, so I'll tell you a better way of doing this. Okay, so since this relational operator returns either true or false. Okay, so you can include that directly in a print statement, so that if it is true it prints true, otherwise it prints false. Okay, so instead of writing these 4 lines, you can reduce it to 1 line only. Okay, so how you can do that, I'll tell you here. I'll erase everything. This entire thing is not required. This not required. Okay, so directly you can print this inside the system dot out dot println. Okay, so you can directly write I is equal to string 1 dot length. It checks and prints true, means true it prints, otherwise if it is false, false it prints. So this is better way of writing the code. Okay, so we are utilizing the property of a relational operator here. Ultimately, we want either true or false only, no? Okay, so that will be returned by relational operator. Why again we use explicit statements for that? So let us submit this code in same LeetCode. Okay, and we'll see whether it is accepted or not. Okay, so let us go back to our LeetCode platform. So this is our LeetCode platform. Now what I do is I change this compiler to Java compiler. Okay, so that I get a skeleton code here. Now here it is given as a is subsequence. Okay, so he's asking us to complete this function is subsequence. Okay, 2 strings are passed as arguments. So initially, to get the logic in Java, we have written everything in main function. Okay, so the thing is you should return instead of SOP, you just return the value. That's it. Okay, so let us complete the function here. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to no need of creating object of a scanner class. All that is done for you by LeetCode. Okay, so you need to just string 1, string 2, both are given to you, S and T. You need to compare whether S is and S is a subsequence of T or not. Okay, if yes, return true, otherwise false. That part you should complete here. Okay, so here we should take 2 variables now, I comma j, and here I should be equal to 0 and j should be equals to 0. Okay, then what else, directly you can write the loop here while. Okay, so I less than str1. So here string, first string is s dot length, and t, sorry, j less than t dot length. So this entire thing I should include inside the parenthesis. So inside the loop, now I test here. Okay, so if s dot char at I, s dot char at I is equals to, see here, char at after I am using parenthesis, not square brackets. Okay, because it is a method here. Char at is a method, no? So method definition follows parenthesis only. Okay, and I is the argument we need to pass. So if you use square brackets, then you will get a compiler error there. Okay, so we'll also see that one. T dot char at j. So these minute things, if you observe, okay, generally these kind of um, typo mistakes, okay, so creates a lot of problems. Sometimes we don't understand why we are getting error. Okay, I'll show that also. Right now, uh, if this is true, what we need to do, we need to just increment I value. Okay, so otherwise what we need to do, we need to increment j value. Okay, so only j value I'll increment. Okay, so that's it. This is my loop. Once after coming out from the loop, now I'll check here if I is equal to s dot length value. Okay, so then otherwise no need to compare here. If it is uh, generally what we do, we'll return right this. Okay, so we return either true or false. Okay, so again here, instead of returning true or false like this, now what you can do is directly you can use this inside the return statement. Okay, so directly you say return compare and return. Okay, so it checks I is equal to s dot length. If yes, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. Okay, so this kind of code optimization techniques you should use. Getting everything perfect? Got it? Right, let us compile the code once again. This Java. Yeah, error. Yeah, semicolon. I missed a semicolon. So because I'm habituated more to Python and just ignoring these semicolons. Okay, so let us compile the code again. Yeah, accepted. Now you can see test case 1 and test case 2 accepted. Both are accepted. Okay, so now you can submit your code. Once you click on submit, before that what we do is we'll just, if we give square brackets here, okay, thinking that we are traversing by using indexing notation. Okay, so like this, if you give sometimes, okay, now if you compile the code, what happens, let us look at that. Now you got compiler error. Okay, so cannot find symbol. Okay, so it is saying that cannot find symbol s dot char at of I is equal to t dot char at of j. Okay, so symbol variable char at variable s of type string cannot find symbol. Okay, so view more, see there. Now from this you never understand. Okay, so what is the wrong in this? I am checking character at I is equal to character at j. Okay, so you think that we are comparing these two characters correctly on. Okay, but still the compiler is giving error. Okay, that's how we think and we waste our time. Okay, so you should understand the difference between calling the method, okay, so using the method here, and accessing by using indexing notation, whether it is accessing using indexing or is it a method, char at is it a method. Okay, so from this error message you won't understand this. So that's why these things you should observe. Okay, when we write code, okay, these things we should observe. In haste, we type like this because whenever because we are habituated accessing the elements of array and accessing the elements of string by using index. That means we follow square bracket notation. So we never understand what is the error in this. Then we try to change the actual logic and we write different logics, and finally we end up with wrong results. Okay, so none of our test cases will be passed and all our time will be wasted in correcting these errors only. Okay, so these things are very important, friends. I am telling once again. Okay, so many students make mistakes, these silly mistakes they make, and they struggle a lot in the actual examination. That's why you should thorough with basics. Okay, so if you know basics clearly, then easily you can solve the question. Right, let us submit this. Now you can see accepted. Did I submit? Yeah, submitted. Okay, so successfully submitted solutions. Now if I click on submit, yeah, changed. Okay, so screen at this side, runtime see 2 milliseconds, beat 68% of people's previous code. Okay, so this is our solution. Now you can see previous solutions, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Okay, so that is how all the analysis about your code will be given. And always try to improve your code by writing these kind of statements. This is what you should learn in such online platforms. Got it? So array related problems, string related problems given. Okay, so don't be haste in finding the code for such problems. Work out on paper, understand the problem thoroughly, understand the test cases, public test cases, read the explanation properly. So try to work out the solution on paper first. Spend some 5 to 10 minutes of time, 15 minutes even if you spend nothing wrong. Once you identify the logic on paper, then immediately you can convert that logic into code easily. So these are some of the tips I would like to uh, tell you, friends. If you follow, then definitely you can complete your solution within the available time with all test cases passed. So that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed the session. So if you found this video useful, so please like the video and also share this video among your friends who missed this live session. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, so please subscribe to the channel and also turn on the bell icon for more such coding updates. Thank you one and all. Happy coding, happy learning.